What's up, smarty people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. I'm also supposed to tell you to add me on Spotify, so please do that. Today on the program, interesting facts. You know, I like to fill my head with knowledge. This is good stuff for when you're at dinner parties, wanting to be the smartest man in the room or the smartest lady in the room, the smartest person in the room. Today's interesting fact is U.S. Vice President Charles Dawes wrote a hit pop song. Yeah, he did. Not many Americans know the name Charles G. Dawes today, but they should, as one of only 3 U.S. vice presidents to receive the Nobel Peace Prize during their lifetime for his work to preserve peace in Europe. Now, all right, let me digress here. During their lifetime, you can only receive the Nobel Peace Prize in your lifetime. You can't do it posthumously. Little tidbit, little side note of the fast facts. All right. He reserved a place in the history books alongside Theodore Roosevelt and Al Gore. But perhaps even more notably, he's also the only Veep with a #1 hit pop song. Dawes was a self-trained pianist and flautist as well as a banker. And in 1911, 14 years before he'd become Calvin Coolidge's vice president, he wrote a short instrumental piece titled Melody in A Major. The song received some attention during Dawes' lifetime, but it wasn't until 1951, the year he died, that American songwriter Carl Sigman put lyrics to Dawes' creation and called it It's All in the Game. 7 years later, Tommy Edwards became the first black artist to reach #1 in the U.S. with his doo-wop influenced rendition of Sigman's song. But that wasn't the end of Dawes' posthumous music stardom. The song soon transformed into a pop standard and was covered by a variety of artists across several genres. There's Nat King Cole's Big Band Affair, 1957, Elton John's Upbeat cover, 1970, Van Morrison's Sorrowful Take, 1979, Isaac Hayes' Soulful Remix, 1980, and Merle Haggard's Country Creation, 1984, just to name a few. To this day, and for likely many days to come, Dawes remains the only chief executive, president, or vice president to score a hit on the Billboard 100. Here's a little bit some more tidbits of information to fill your head with knowledge. The California district that elected Sonny Bono, the only member of the House with a #1 pop song in 1994, 44. Total #1 hits for Mariah Carey, the most of any solo artist, 19 as of this recording. Year Charles Dawes won the Nobel Peace Prize for efforts to ease tensions in Europe after World War I, 1925. Number of VPs before Alban W. Barkley, the first to be called Veep. It was his grandson's idea, 34. More information for you. President Calvin Coolidge had a lot of pets, including a pygmy hippopotamus. While Charles Dawes had the #1 pop single, his boss also had a few quirks. Calvin Coolidge, the 30th U.S. president, had arguably the most exotic collection of pets of any American chief executive, though Theodore Roosevelt gave him a run for his money. During his presidency, Coolidge had 6 dogs, a bobcat, 2 raccoons, a goose, a donkey, a cat, a bear, 2 lion cubs, an antelope, a wallaby, and more. But the strangest of Coolidge's pets was probably Billy, a pygmy hippopotamus was given to Coolidge as a gift from businessman Harvey Firestone, as in Firestone Tires. Perhaps because of his size, even a pygmy hippo can weigh up to 600 pounds, or because he was one of the only a few pygmy hippos in the U.S. Billy was donated to the Smithsonian National Zoological Park, where he became the proud father of many hippo calves. In fact, most of the pygmy hippos in the U.S. today can be traced back to his lineage. Pretty cool. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Charles Dawes wrote that hit song. I'm going to go look it up now. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Also, add me on Spotify and like, rate, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. It helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for listening. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace.